1. For some context, I work at a relatively small location and I work the morning shift. With it being New Year's Eve, we only have 2 rooms available in our entire hotel. Per my manager, we're not supposed to accept early check-ins so that we don't overwhelm our housekeeping staff. If someone could explain why, that would be amazing. I'm still very new to working in a hotel, and I was kind of afraid to ask my manager, and I'm not sure that I understand why. If someone really wanted to check in early, they would have to pay double our usual early check-in fee. Okay, not like I care, I just work here. Cue angry lady calling into the hotel. My husband will be checking in and he would like to check in early. Okay, I'll add his name to the reservation so that he can check in for you. But unfortunately, we aren't accepting early check-ins today because of the volume of guests checking into the hotel today. If you really need to check in early, we will have to charge you X amount as an early check-in fee. What? I have never had a hotel charge me extra for checking in early. I understand. But unfortunately, we do have a policy requiring us to collect an early check-in fee to check you into your room before 3 p.m. Incidentally, the room in question wasn't ready anyway, as I would later learn. Well, can they use the pool before they check in? No, ma'am. We have to have each guest sign waivers for our pool and hotel, and we can't allow anyone in the pool that hasn't signed those waivers yet. I can only let you sign our waivers when you're checking in, and I can't give you any keys until you're checked in. And what do you expect me to do, just sit in the lobby and wait? Well, there are plenty of shopping centers near our location that you could spend some time in. There are also some restaurants that you could go and have some lunch at, and then check in after you're finished eating, like guests usually do when they are too early to check in and they don't want to pay the fee. Why would I do that? I just want to check in. I've never had a hotel require an early check-in fee and not let us use their pool before we checked in. Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can't do that. Can I check in early? No, ma'am. Like I said. And I re-explained everything that I just explained. No, I don't think you understand. Can I check in early? No, ma'am, I cannot do that today. Again, I apologize for the inconvenience. Well, I need to check in. Okay? So can I check in early? No, ma'am. Would you like to speak to my manager? After this, she hung up on me. 2. I work in a hotel near an airport, so usually we have 2 types of clients. Tourist and worker, blue or white collar. The politic of the hotel is usually friendly. One morning, a client came to the breakfast. Well-dressed, bit of a snob, did not pay in advance for the breakfast, but took things anyway. My colleague, who was working breakfast, didn't speak English well. She asked me if he had paid for the food. I check, and no. In fact, his room was paid for by a company, without the breakfast. So I go to his table, with a smile, and advise him, "Hello, sir, sorry to disturb, but breakfast is not included in your reservation. So, when you finish, if you could come to the desk to correct that. Thank you." He nods with a smile. I leave. A few minutes later, I see the guy walking in front of the front desk. He sees me, makes a waving motion with his hand like, "Yeah, I know. Later." And in that moment I knew that a problem was burgeoning on the horizon. In my hotel, checkout is at 11 max. At 11:15 I start to call the rooms who did not leave. Obviously breakfast guy was in it, so I call, remind him checkout time and breakfast to pay. He says, "Okay, I'll leave." More than an hour later, he leaves his room, comes to the front desk to start a complaint. "Breakfast was included." "No, it was not." "And I know from experience from all the hotels I've been to, I can't extend my checkout. Your service is bad." I try to keep calm naturally. "No, sir, breakfast is not included in your reservation. And yes, we can extend the checkout on demand till 12 max. But you did not ask for it. In fact, it's 12:30, so you had more than the usual extension. With this attitude and your red eye, I had a petechia at the time, not related to any drug use, I'm straight edge. You should be a mechanic or dustman. He seems very proud of himself. I smile. If you say so. Anyway, you still have 16 euros to pay for the breakfast. I want to talk to your manager. I smile and nod at my manager, who was just there and heard everything. The client starts to complain. Your employee did bad work. You gotta fire him. He disturbed me during my breakfast and he was insulting. The manager smiled. I was in there all along, sir. My colleague did nothing wrong. In fact, it is you who did not respect the rules of our hotel. The client grumbled. I don't know why he's like that. Anyway, I understand that you don't want to pay for what you have eaten. So, I will ask you to leave my hotel and never come back. The company who made your reservation is on our blacklist now. Any reservation they have made in the future will be cancelled. I'll let you explain to them why. Have a good day. My manager left. Breakfast guy stared at me. I smiled. You heard her. You have to leave. Have a good day, sir. I watched him taking his luggage, still stunned that the employees would dare to stand up to him. 3. I'm a security guard working the front desk during the night at a known brand hotel in a bigger city. So during my night shift, I'm just scrolling Reddit and chilling when 2 police officers come wandering into the lobby. They start asking if I have access to the security cameras, which I tell them only management does, and that they are searching for someone that had been spotted outside the hotel. Earlier in the night, I had a group of teens and kids walking in and out of the hotel many times, and something just felt off about the crew. They had been very nice to me, and we got along as bros after I helped them a bit earlier, but I just knew these kids were up to trouble. So I asked the police officers, is it a group of teenage boys you're searching for? Lo and behold, it was. They give me a description of the kids that match with what I've seen, and luckily for the police, and not for the crew, they have a room, and from their earlier actions I know which room they're staying in. So I inform the police officers of this, and their faces light up. At this point, another police officer walks into the lobby and I greet her before they start talking. Lucky for me, I hear everything being said. Backstory is, these kids had robbed someone they knew who had met up with them a bit earlier. And I know exactly who that is. The kid came in having trouble with the SIM card in his phone. I helped him take it out and place it back in, and like magic it was working again. He calls the crew of guys and they come down and head outside. Continuing on, the police call a lawyer and get approval for a search of the room. All the kids and to arrest the main person, since he isn't underage and was also named by the offended. At this time, they also call for backup since there are 5 or 6 kids in this room and they don't want to make a scene in the hotel. A few minutes later, 3 more police officers enter the lobby. I greet them and they start planning. They also ask me for all exits and such around the hotel. I inform them of all the exits, which are mainly used, and that I can lock these from the desk if they wanted. A few more minutes pass before they ask for a room key, for me to hang back at the front desk and to lock the door if anyone comes running. Sadly, no action from me then. A few minutes pass and our breakfast lady comes walking in and wondering what's going on with so many police cars outside. I tell her a short version of the story and she goes, "Ooh, exciting!" They leave me waiting in excitement for 30 very long minutes before I start hearing people coming down the stairs. The whole crew of kids come down with 1 officer per kid. The kids see me, give me angry looks, and one asks if I gave them the key to the room. I just answer with, "Who else?" And of course it's the police. One of the kids even asks to buy a Fanta on the way out, which was okay for me and the police officer. While I'm counting the money, because of course he gave me cash and didn't pay with the card, he asked me, "So can you tell me again when the breakfast hours were?" In a very clear tone that was obviously meant as a threat of him coming back later. I just tell him 7:30 to 11, here's your change and good luck. The underage kids got driven home by the police while one was taken into custody. Fun stuff. 4. not working a traditional front desk job at the moment. We manage a few dozen cabins in a ski town, but the drama is remarkably the same as if I were back in that world. Our process when a reservation comes in online is to have a signed rental agreement and verify a photo ID within 48 hours or it's cancelled. With reservations it seems suspect, we will also verify credit cards by asking for a photo of the credit card. Only name and last 4 digits, which is all in our system and shows us anyway. A 2-week reservation came in a month ago and was cancelled for not finishing the process. This reservation was supposed to start last week. Yesterday, the guest called stating that she didn't intend to keep the reservation, noting that she called from a different phone number than the one on the reservation, and it was a BDC reservation, which is always a red flag in its own right. I felt that there was sufficient suspicion to request credit card verification. We understand that this can be a bit of a security concern for people as well, so we do also state that if a guest does not want to send this information electronically, then it can be done in person at our office upon arrival to town. Of course, this particular guest chooses that option. Today, when she arrived, I confirmed her reservation dates, and she wished to change them from her original reservation, which was technically already changed because she showed up over a week later. I made the adjustment and verbally confirmed the new total while emailing over a new rental agreement. At that point, she started to get argumentative, stating that she already paid. No. We don't charge until a rental agreement is completed, and we verify the guest. Since her original reservation was cancelled for failure to do that, there was no charge. When I mentioned that the new rental agreement was emailed to her, she took it up another notch. We never told her that this would be needed. You never told us you would be changing your dates either, ma'am. She has no phone. She can't get the email. No phone, no problem. I can print a paper copy. But no, a paper copy doesn't work either because she will need someone else to review it. Red flags all over the place. It's like a parade is going through. She started going on about how badly she was being treated and that she needed to express her frustration. I listened to her rant for quite some time, but eventually calmly told her that I did not appreciate her attitude and that I had already explained the options and could not proceed with the reservation without a signed rental agreement, and that my only choice, if she refused to sign, would be to cancel the reservation. She continued to argue, but other staff had stepped up front by this point and she was escorted out of the building. Bye, bitch. I didn't even get to the point where I would need to verify her ID and credit card. As she was being escorted out, she went on about how she had nowhere to go, as she had to take an Uber up here, which is particularly bad already, as there's not typically Uber or Lyft service in this town. And I don't even know how she expected to get to the cabin that's 2 miles away from our office. Anne had no phone. Had several deliveries scheduled to arrive at our office. Even though this lady was throwing out every red flag possible, I was willing to work with her until she started getting argumentative. I'm 99% sure she was running some sort of scam, but if not, then the only other option is she's just extremely entitled. Either way, I'm not losing sleep over it, and I wish the best on whoever has to deal with her next. 5. This happened this morning, and God, I hate third-party reservations. I also hate people who are insistent, and I hate that all these events lined up to fall into place for this story, but this is a story, weirdly enough. So I'm a night auditor, and I will make sure shifts are at the end of my day, so I'm up for at least 6 to 10 hours prior to my shift. So I walked into our second building across from the street to clock in, and I should have seen this as a foreshadow. The other night auditor, who I cannot seem to beat there no matter how early I arrive, gave me a heads up. He told me we still had one check-in, but it was a duplicate reservation, and they had not gotten back to us if they called the third party. So he was going to run audit and run it as a no-show if she didn't make her way back to the front desk. I nodded to him, said okay, and left to go to the other building. We were generally given the okay to authorize the refund if they called the head of third-party bookings before the audit. Now it's off-season, so prices are reasonable and maybe 10 to 40 reservations on the weekends. So I was expecting no issues. I spent my shift doing nothing but trying to recombobulate from a panic attack that occurred before I left home, and gaming since there was not a sound. No person and no noise complaint, which is oddish, especially when we have a regular in. But that's another story that I will share when they stop being a regular, so I can put it all in one long post. I got to the end of my 8 hours, and I did not see a soul, and I am exhausted. About ready to fall asleep and everything. Like, I could make a nest out of my sweater and fall asleep on the floor if I had to. My relief was a few minutes late, which is unusual, so I checked our cameras to see if I was good to pack up or not. Well, come to my surprise, I see my relief climbing over the front desk of the other building. The other night auditor accidentally locked the office door, which connects to the front desk, on his way out. And sometime during this mess, the sign that said there was only one front desk agent on got knocked over. I thought nothing of it, got a good laugh, and closed out the cameras. The next shift eventually gets there, and I basically bolted out and we left, at her climbing over the desk. So, I go to my car, drop everything off, and start my car. Since it's 0 degrees out and I can at least give my car a chance to warm up, I go to the other building and turn the corner to clock out. There I see my worst nightmare, a person waiting at the desk, and the next shift for that building not there yet, and no sign up. I thought for a moment just to go into the office and clock out, but sleepy me was like, maybe I should help. They probably only need towels or to check out. Well, that wasn't the case. No niceties, no nothing, she just loudly says, "There's a $70 charge on my card, I want to take it off." To her credit, though, she knew that the hold and hotel fee was a thing. To her discredit, she thought I wasn't doing my job. I was a shift on in that building and thought I abandoned my post. She had been waiting a whole 3 minutes. My goodness. I just know this isn't going to be easy, and it was a mistake the moment I talked to her. So, I was going to hope it was going to be quick, if not send her across the street to the other person who could definitely help her better than I could. So I ask, "Okay, let me see what's going on. What's your room number?" Gives me the number. That wasn't right. We only had 3-digit rooms, but she gave me 4. Perhaps I misheard. "Your room number?" Then it clicked, the number she was giving me. For some odd reason, that clicked for sleepy me. She was giving me the last 4 digits of her card. So I tried my best not to sigh. "What's the name on the reservation? Jane Doe?" Okay, that was the info I needed. I logged into the system, and she was being impatient and said, "If I'm going to be charged, I want my card removed." While I was searching for her reservation, I sort of ignored this due to me needing to process her name and find the reservation, and me really wanting to leave because sleep. So, I look at said reservation, and I see nothing. I thought I was on billing, but I was just staring at payments. Okay, I see nothing on this end. Let's see your prepaid. Again, sleepy me seems to know to look for the VCC, so it wouldn't be that. "What is it then? I want my card removed from your system." "Well, I can't do that. Give me 1 second. I took off my winter beanie to focus and finally figured out that I wasn't on the billing section. Sleep wins for me for being slow on that part, and I see a $90 charge on the VCC and a $10 charge on her card. So I see nothing that can explain the charge. I'm just seeing the hotel fee. I don't know where this $70 is coming from. "If I'm going to keep getting charged, then I want my card removed." I sort of ignored that statement again and told her, "Ma'am, I am not authorized to do that. Look, I might have missed something, so you can either call on Monday when there is a manager on, or go access the street to the other building where there is someone else who knows this system better than me." "Well, I don't want to stay here if I keep getting charged." "Ma'am, they can help you figure this out across the street." I kid you not, I spent 5 minutes trying to convince her to go across the street so I could leave. Because I'm already there 15 minutes past the end of my shift, and have I mentioned I wanted to sleep? I realize that apparently I didn't mention that to her, and I'm sort of whining myself at this point. But, more the exhausted and sleepy whine. Ma'am, I was literally on my way to go home and sleep. I probably missed something. You can just go across the street or call Monday. Her whole demeanor changed at that point, probably realizing she was being a dickhead for no reason. Well, you can call across the street? Fine. I don't know why I complied, I just was so done by this point. And I called. So I explained the issue to the other person, and while in the middle of that conversation, of even her not knowing where this charge came from, and her explaining, if she has evidence we took it out, we can refund— Wait, it hit me, again. Ma'am, did you have a duplicate booking? The person on the other line went quiet, and I quickly typed dough into reservations, and there it was, a duplicate booking. The one I was specifically told about 9 hours ago, the one where I read the notes, and it explicitly said she was told to call the third party. Well, yes, but I didn't make it. I smirked, knowing I would finally be able to leave. No show fee was said by both me and the person on the phone at the same time. I said thank you to the other person on the phone and hung up. So did you call the third party like you were told to? No, but I checked the app and it showed only one reservation. Of course. So, we are now down to one option since I cannot authorize a refund. Only management can. You have to call the third party to get a refund, and you have to call the manager on Monday. Why can't you do a refund? She's starting to get whiny and angry again. Because you booked through a third party and I am not authorized to do full refunds. You can't remove the card. I'm not authorized to remove credit cards from booking. Management will give me a refund. They probably will, but you have to call on Monday. I had to make sure to emphasize the probably because there's always a chance they won't. Are you the manager on now? No, the manager is on Monday. I sighed. I was now 25 minutes past my shift, so lucky I didn't clock out yet. And realizing the other shift for this building was nowhere to be found, I grabbed a business card that had the manager's name, phone and hotel and email. I handed it to the lady and told her she will be in on Monday and can help you then. And went to the office to be out of sight of Jane Doe. She got the hint and left finally. I then left notes where I needed to and then checked the reservations for the heck of it. They were made a month apart. Honestly, if she called the third party before midnight, she would have gotten that refund no problem since we were authorized for that. And she could have been honest and said that she forgot that she made the first reservation. That's the most probable thing that she did, and it's understandable. But no matter how many times you ask a question, I'm not going to change my answer. So I finally clocked out 30 minutes past my time, and I forget my car was on this whole time, so I got a little win from that. All honesty, I blame the other night audit. Since if that door wasn't accidentally locked, I would have made it out on time, since the other shift wouldn't have had to climb over the desk, and I would have not had to deal with this person. Sorry this is long, I like to write. Now I sleep. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to COAHW episode 165. That's Confessions of a Hotel Worker if you're new. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do hit the like button and subscribe, and please do support me on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. Okay, no more bits and bobs today, so let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is: when you take vacation, if you take vacation, do you like to do it in the summertime? When the weather is hot? Or do you like to do it just at different times of year? For perhaps you like to go when the weather's cooler, or perhaps there's just a special time of the year that matters more to you. I don't know. I haven't really ever been on vacation, and it's been a while since I've been able to take an actual break from work. One day, perhaps, one day. That's kind of what we're working toward. Let me know what you think in a comment below. And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. That's COAHW 164. And I think this is your favorite flavor of ramen. Ramen. I hope you like ramen too. We're ramen. Let's see. Today's answer comes from Undead Froggo. Me goring is my favorite flavor of 2-minute noodles. It's garlic, chili, and soy with crispy onion. That sounds very yummy. I can't remember which brand it is that I prefer, but it's from Aldi. I wonder if they have that in Aldi in UK. I've not been into Aldi for a while. I used to usually go to Farm Foods, which is a frozen food shop, then into Aldi, but they closed the Aldi down. It's now a gym there now, which is wholly useless to me. I have exercise equipment at home, and I have begun working out properly at home. But there is, like I say, at one point there was 2 Aldis in my town. The second one's probably still open. It's just very much out of the way. A very big hill. But thank you very much for your answer, Undead Froggo. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.